All right, what's up, y'all? You like the wrinkles? Yikes. All right, today is the 17th of May, 2025. My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In The Image Clothing Company. This is one of our fourths to us as a whole, In The Image Clothing Company's main side. And I'll talk about each of the four sides of us, and I'll talk about where clothing sits, and then we'll get into the discussion on internal rotation at the forearm, okay, which looks like this. Okay, internal versus external at just the forearm itself, okay? So we'll get into it, but really what we do is address the human body's natural function. We are called a clothing company, but the point is to let the body work. Our whole key phrase is allowing, key word, the human body to work. It's just, as I say, a mechanical machine placed onto a rock in space, the human being on Earth. We're all the exact same, physical function wise, because the body is about its skeletal system. The fat content changes and the muscle mass changes, but what doesn't change is this neutral joint, meaning the neutral position in every joint in the body. And it has to just reside in its neutrals. There's a center line to the human being, the sternum, the spine, the trachea, the nose, and our jaw, naturally stabilizing the entire body on Earth's gravity. 2 feet on either side, opposing the center, gripping arches, keeping us vertical, and we place clothing onto us. So our clothing has to stay balanced. It has to stay sitting on the body, the only way that it could ever work, because there is only one way the human body could ever work for every human being to ever live. Despite popular belief, there's no way to train the human being. It's just an operable machine. But it doesn't get seen as it is because people do get into such deeply chronic, ingrained patterning and scar tissue from clothing and their body working around something placed on them that doesn't allow their bodies to just operate. So, I mean, this is the real deal. It's as real as it gets, as I say. So, In The Image Clothing Company clothing will always stay centered, fit correct, where I'll discuss in a minute, and be made from 100% natural materials. And that's how we allow the human body to work, okay? Now, we address a lot of things though: eating, sleeping, standing, sitting, walking, hydration, doing it all naturally, the only way the body can, designed by God to just work in the image of Jesus Christ. Yeah, okay? No opinion to this by any means, but I know it's different than what a lot of people know at their current time, okay? But there's just no reason the body wouldn't work unless there was a reason it couldn't. It's designed to, it's supposed to. That's how we are on this earth, is because we can operate across it. So another fourth of us is In The Image Clothing Company podcast, where I get into deep, blunt, bold, raw, real discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ, aka the truth of all things. We're all the same thing, just a human being placed onto the same earth. We just discuss it as it is, but we're all sinful by nature. I don't ever say anything perfect, so, okay. Now, we're on episode 121 of In The Image Clothing Company podcast as of last night. It's really cool, really great place to check out if you'd like. Another fourth of us is In The Image Clothing Company music, where I address making music naturally, keeping our bodies in their only working position while we make music. I'm a fingerstyle guitarist, so I show how to size and set up guitars, because the hands are essentially the shoulders, as the feet are essentially the hips. The body can only ever work activated as a whole. Anywhere any of it goes, all of it comes, okay? So, man, choking up on something. Very dusty, though, here in this baseball field, so. All right. Yeah. In The Image Clothing Company Poodles is our other fourth that I haven't mentioned yet. We do a lot to let dogs stay natural. That's our slogan. Little context on me choking up. I just mowed a lawn. My boots are leather and they're actually really wet. Plus the dustiness here. Whatever's in my sinuses from mowing the lawn. So, okay. Also, I'm on an uneven dirt patch here. But yeah, we address unnaturally flat flooring for dogs' feet. They need to be on texture because they always naturally would be in nature. They have toys nowadays made from unnatural materials that the dogs are eating. Not good for the dog whatsoever. Collars, leashes, and harnesses potentially made from unnatural materials, and most commonly nowadays, but also just imbalanced weight-wise, size-wise, fit-wise for the dogs. So we address these things, okay? We will have In The Image Clothing Company dog products, always doing the same intent behind In The Image Clothing Company clothing for human beings, staying centered around the dogs, fitting them well, minimal, light, brandless on the exterior, okay? So yes, a lot of things, okay? Dehydrated kibble. Water's just been extracted from the food that we give our dogs, very unnatural. So in addition to that, we do a lot of advocating for proper breeding of dogs, proper ownership of dogs, taking accountability as owners, debunking myths on why dogs are acting the way that they are and not listening. There's a lot that we do under In The Image Clothing Company Poodles as our newest fourth too, and so it's going to be great. Our breeding program to come as of today's date, okay? In The Image Clothing Company Poodles standard poodle breeding program, okay? Proper registered through AKC, American Kennel Club dogs, okay? Yeah, and there's a lot that I could say. I packed these intros full, and I was praying about it earlier today, and I'm like, well, the whole thing is if they hear about what we are and everything that we do, then everything else that we do, they have like an introduction to it. And there's no reason to not pack the intros full of things, because if you're going to listen to the information, you're going to listen to the information, and you'll sit through the intros if you want to get to the truth that we say throughout the video. So yeah, okay. Now, clothing for everybody. Doesn't matter if you're a man or woman, tall or short, skinny or fat, any age, any part of the earth, or from any time period ever. It's always the same. The body has to just stay in its only working position. So pants need to be entirely above our hips. And I am choking up on something. Then there's no restriction to the pelvis, and then slightly higher in the front than the rear, because then our core muscles can stay as they would be, constantly activated, okay? The only way the body could ever work, but a way that a lot of people's aren't working in modern day, which is unreal, myself included in the past, okay? Tops that we wear have seams on top of our shoulders that need to sit evenly behind the peak of our shoulders, because our shoulders only ever work behind our head, and the edge seams of our shoulders need to be right at the very edges of our shoulders. Two things we have as prerequisites under In The Image Clothing Company to not alter the body. Restriction-wise can only happen through laces if they're there, and they're not always, but it's just a rope weaved across the top of the human feet. When we're talking about shoelaces, there's only one way to do a weave of a rope across the top of the mechanics of the human foot without altering it and its only workings. So that's what we call In The Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique. Found wherever you find us, our 5-word name as a whole. InTheImageClothingCompany.com is where everything comes to, okay? All 4 sides of the company. And with that, we have to tie our shoes evenly over toward the center line of the human being on both feet, just because there is one. And then there's no rotation discrepancy happening from a rope that could potentially be tied unevenly at the feet, okay? Secondly, we remove all tags from clothing. Anywhere a tag is placed in our clothing, it's either causing a physical gap, just changing the body's only working position, and or not allowing musculature to activate, and then the body is just trying to compensate, and something that only can ever work as a whole can never do compensation, okay? So there's our intro, packed full as it is. It's good. I mean, genuinely, I love how packed full our intros are, because for those of you who really don't quite know, maybe it's at a time similar to when I'm filming this, or just whenever you're seeing this, these videos, I'm making these videos the way that I am so that they will last for literally ever, because the information we talk about in these will apply to human beings on the earth for literally ever. because the body will never change in its operation. And regardless of what clothing looks like or is made out of, it still has to sit on the body the only way that it could ever work. So these videos are very long sometimes, relatively, okay? I mean, compared to a lot of videos in modern day for whatever it could be. But we're not just making content for the sake of having something for people to watch for enjoyment. We're making videos that literally will be eternally valid. So they can be as long as they need to be to have the information within them, okay? So let's talk about the forearm's internal rotation. I've got some videos already under In The Image Clothing Company's main site here about the forearms. I actually made one just titled How Clothing Affects the Forearms. I made one titled Keeping Short Sleeves Short, right? So that the short sleeves that we wear don't sit on our forearms and then alter our body from our body trying to get around the sleeve to just move our arms. So I've talked about the forearms quite a bit. We have a video titled The Right Elbow, where I talked about how because we live in a right-handed world, clothing patterns themselves are right-handed in the ways that they are. Tying knots being 85% right-handed as a population of human beings. We're going to tie shoes to the right if we're doing it unevenly, which should never be done, right? Evenly over toward the inside. That's how we tie our shoes. Every human on the face of the earth forever, even if it's sandals or anything on your feet with a rope. Two opposing sides to a center line, gripping inward with arches, okay? Drawstrings, same thing. If you're right-handed and you're going to tie a knot that you would just be tying, you tie a right-handed knot, rotating your whole pelvis, okay? Clothing patterns, weight-wise, are imbalanced to the right. The dreaded collar seam. Under In The Image Clothing Company, look up our dreaded collar seam modification. It's on the left side, almost always, because that places your body into a right-handed patterning, okay? And there's external rotation of your right forearm. And so internal rotation is closest to the center line of the human being. If there's wind noise, if and where, then there is, okay? Raw and real In The Image Clothing Company. So the strength of the body is in the center of it, okay? Anything you hold in your hands at the center is easier than if you hold that same weight and get far out away from your body. It actually drops into external rotation, which is only half of your body's rotation anyway, and just mechanically, like lever-wise, right? It's easier in here to hold something than it is out here to hold something, just farther away from your body, okay? So we need to get our forearms to be able to rotate inward. Because if you take your hands and you just rotate them palms up all the way external, and you try to get your hands to the center of your body, you just won't be able to. I mean, without the rest of your body doing compensation as well. So what happens is we need to have our forearms be able to rotate from the elbow out to the fingertips internal, okay? External, internal. This is only my forearm that's moving. And you can see in my forearm the musculature, and then there's two bones, a bone on the inside here and a bone on the outside here. So when you're rotating your forearm, those two bones are actually just twisting like this, as if this arm was one bone, my right arm here, and this arm, my left arm, was the other bone, just twisting like this. And then if both of my arms together here were just one of my arms alone, okay? This is how the arm works, from the elbow out to the wrist, okay? Now, what needs to happen in order for that to happen is there needs to be room here above the arm. Do you see this? For it to rotate inward. Because if our hands are placed palm up like this in front of us, our two bones in our arms are just next to each other, like this, okay? As if my arms were together like this. And then to rotate our arm inward, do you see how one of the bones, the one on the outside, comes higher than the one on the inside? And it needs room to be able to rotate. And now it can get over here to the other side of your body, okay? All the way external with your forearm, you're not going to be able to get your arm across your body to try to get your hand to your other shoulder, right? Keeping your elbows at your sides. It's just not going to happen because the bones will just bind up at the joint. There's only one neutral in every joint of the human being, as we say. So these bones need to rotate, and then they can just get across the body, because now they're in just a position where they won't hit together. It's just how it works mechanically. So what happens is this internal rotation of the forearm needs room right above the forearm here to happen, okay? So if our short sleeves aren't short enough, then our arms won't be able to rotate internally at the forearms. And I've talked about, since very early on in the Image Clothing Company content, you can't split your body in half rotation-wise. Down at our feet, right, straight out from that pinky toe forward is the neutral gripped arch in our feet. Then stemming from there, it goes up through the neutral ankle with that outward curvature of the lower leg. And from that forward position, we have both internal rotation at the feet, and then we have external rotation at the feet, okay? So we're not going to be able to have internal rotation down at our feet be happening well if there's not the ability for internal rotation to happen at our arms, which are really our hands, okay? Because the feet are going to the hips, the hands are going to the shoulders. Right here at my hand, if I rotate it, this is only allowed to happen because it's traveling up to my shoulder. At my foot, if I rotate it, it's only able to happen because it's traveling up to my hip. Okay? So, yeah, you're not going to split your body from your hips up or your hips down in half and have the ability to have full rotation at the feet if rotations up at your hands and shoulders are limited, because you'll just have binding. If your lower body's rotating free, it just needs to have the upper body be doing its part for stabilization, for weight compensation, right? Whatever you're doing, because the body's all just one. So rotation needs to be uninhibited through the entirety of it, or as we say, if something in the body isn't working correct, then something else and many things are having to try to compensate. So lack of internal rotation here at the forearm, your foot won't be able to get internal either, because it just travels through your whole body. It's all one chain. So yeah, what I mean with all that is it can stem at the foot. You're tying your shoes unevenly, okay? You're never going to, as I was just saying, split your body's rotations in half. So if your right foot is tied external like this, then you're never going to get your right forearm to rotate internal, because it has to stem at your foot. You can hear this, okay? Rotating inward so that traveling up through the whole chain, your arm can then rotate inward, okay? External, internal, external, and internal, okay? Don't want to wear out my boots. I love these boots. And that's seriously how real it is with me in clothing. Like, I take care of it to that extent. Yeah, so what happens is if our sleeves are sitting on our forearm, then you're just not going to have the ability to rotate it, because there's just not room for the bones to just move. There's just a bone here. In this case, with the palm up, it's on the outside, but really it's the inner arm bone. When it rotates, it just gets higher because it's coming over the other bone. That's all that's happening. So if your short sleeves are just barely resting at the crease of your elbow, then from there, it's going to just push your arm into external rotation. And then that travels from your forearm all the way up your arm to your shoulder, to your spine, down to your hips, and down to your foot. And now it's from the other end. Okay, we talked about how the foot can limit the arm's ability to rotate, but then the arm here doesn't allow the foot to rotate. And then your whole body's stuck in a twist. And you look like you have bad posture, but there's no such thing on Earth's gravity as posture. There's just the only way the body would ever be able to stand, because it's all connected and it just has to work as a whole. But if part of it's being inhibited, then a rotation happens. And so there you go. Okay, the forearm. So yeah, okay. Yeah. We need to be able to get our hands to our center line. And as I was showing a few minutes ago, that's only going to ever be able to happen without compensation trying to, if our forearms can rotate inward. Internal, external, internal, external, okay? So short sleeves need to be off the forearms, okay? Shoes need to be tied evenly. In the Image Clothing Company's official shoelace technique video, found wherever you find our 5-word name as a whole, as I say, right? But I also do want to address, my right shoulder isn't actually lower, but I'm standing on a slant where my right side is just lower. That's why I addressed it earlier, okay? Just for the sake of the visual of what I'm talking about and keeping the body even, mine really is, for the sake of just speaking out of example, is why I'm clarifying, but I'm on an uneven grade here in this baseball field. So yeah, okay, internal, external, internal, and you can just see it at the forearms, okay? You can see what's happening in the bones themselves, right? You can see this bone here just comes up and over the one on the inside, which is really the outside bone, right? But the hand is turned up. So there just needs to be room for your elbow to hinge, okay? And I think that's about all we need to say in this, because really it's just, as I say, what we really are physically for the human body, as far as under In the Image Clothing Company, how we allow, keyword, it to work, is our intros. It's when I talk about where clothing has to sit. And I don't always mention in the intros keeping short sleeves short and how sleeve cuffs affect body mechanics. Another video under In the Image Clothing Company's main site, right? Where long sleeves, they need to be off of our wrist, so our wrist just has its motion. I don't always say those things in the intros of In the Image Clothing Company videos, but it really is so simple. As I say, the human body is so simple, because the point is, as I said earlier, it's just designed to work. There's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled that. It is. There'd be no reason we were placed on an earth as a mechanical machine if it wasn't designed to just do its functions. And it just is. So unless it's restricted and inhibited by something, it will just work. Anything can come up in any case ever. But people just don't know what's wrong with their bodies, why they're in chronic pain, why they seem to get so sore, and why they try to stretch, which can never help you because muscles only contract. That's the title of a video under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company here, and it's just the truth. Stretching can never help you because you're opposing the only way your muscles have any operation, right? I mean, don't agree with me, but it's just the truth. So, windy, a little bit windy, if there's wind noise, right? Like I addressed. But stretch within clothing just didn't even exist until decades back from today's date. And see what I mean? So 100% natural materials. It's not an opinion, it's not some community or belief. It's the only way the body could work, because the human body is only natural. It's only what we've eaten, and it can't grow without taking nutrients from food, and there's only things that it can use within natural food. Everything else just passes right through the body. So, right, like I say, you don't have to believe us at all, but truth is truth, and we just discuss it. So there you go. Okay, internal rotation at the forearm. But I mean, everything and anything could go into it. Okay, I'll reference some videos under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company, how drawstrings affect body mechanics, how pant cuffs affect body mechanics. Same thing, right? If you can't dorsiflex your right foot, meaning lift your right toes up without hitting your pant cuff, then it's like not being able to have your right wrist be unaltered, and now you just won't have internal rotation at your right forearm traveling up. So anyway, there's a lot of videos I could reference. We've got well over 200 videos as of today's date, just on one of our forwards alone, the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. But yeah, there you go. Okay, the forearm and the ability to allow it to internally rotate, okay, and how to. So there you go. Well, I will say this, under In the Image Clothing Company podcast, there's a lot of stuff out here, so much cotton as well. We have a lot of trees that dump cotton seeds all over the place at this time of year here in Utah, the United States of America. And as I was walking over, it's like it's snowing almost, how much cotton's just falling out of the trees. So one of our episodes, yes, of In the Image Clothing Company podcast is titled Mind the Gap. And one of the many things I talked about in there was this gap between our own arm and our own rib cage, okay? And if there's a gap there, then you're just never going to be able to internally rotate your forearm because it's being pushed away from its own center line at the sternum, spine, trachea, nose, jaw, mouth, right? And so it's just being pushed into external rotation, meaning the whole arm, but then that's the forearm, right? So things like that. Yeah. How clothing affects the rib cage is a video under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company here. And similar thing, right? The side seams on our clothing. I say ideally we never have side seams on the clothing that's actually right against our bodies, because then there's just something against our rib cage and our ribs just expand and contract in 360 degrees, meaning all the way around every single breath. And if that's not allowed to happen, then there will just be a gap and muscles will just deactivate and be chronically external. So there's a lot of things, right, that we talk about, a lot of things that go into being able to internally rotate your right arm, okay? So this is In the Image Clothing Company and what we do for the human body. The only thing you ever can, just allow it to work. There's no way to do anything else for it, okay? So, Poodle Parade events under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, where we get together with purebred poodles of any size and or poodle mixes of any size as the only dog breeds allowed at Poodle Parade events under In the Image Clothing Company. A lot of reasons are what they are, okay? Advocacy, though, for breeding, and also we just specialize in purebred standard poodles, so yeah. I made that weird face because, yeah, I love them, okay? I love poodles. Any events, though, about the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, the anatomy of the human body, and me getting together with people, teaching them how it works, and how to address clothing, modifications, and then discussing our clothing as well, In the Image Clothing Company clothing, right? All these things are going to be always scheduled under InTheImageClothingCompany.com. So just make sure you look there for the details of any specific event. And yeah, stick around for puppies to come, whatever else we do, meaning we do a lot. Anything else that you're interested in that we do is what I mean. Stick around, stop back in, and there you go. Okay, today's the 17th of May, 2025. And like I said, my name is Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. Thank you.